This is my family educational Counterstory Part 2 final by Enrique Bautista or me. So I thought I was gonna do a research paper at first, but I thought, you know what, I could get creative with my final. I could do a presentation instead. Be make it a little bit more interesting. Instead of just a basic boring. Not that it's boring, but just instead of a research paper, I thought, why not do a presentation. Make it a little bit more interesting. And before we get started, I just want to say, like, a lot of the readings that I read from the modules from our lectures in our classes from our canvas, it's like I connect to a lot of it, if I'm being honest, especially with my mom. Mainly my mom, a little bit of me, not very much. Mainly the part with lack of resources for my mom, but a little bit for me in the same way. But also the part where I got lucky in getting into a good elementary school and middle school and high school. I won a lottery basically that put me in a good school, and without that lottery, I probably wouldn't even be here, if I'm being honest, because the school I went to really pushed me to my limits, like to my it exceeded me, but in a good way, where I am where I am today, and I'm very grateful for that. Um, Same with my mom. She pushed herself to, like, to limits where she thought she couldn't reach, and here I am today in college. And it's very interesting how life works. So here we go. So for family background context, so the person I interviewed with for my first sorry, I forgot the name. For my first counter story, sorry, is my mom, Monica Bautista. She was born on April 2nd, 1985, in Mexico City. She moved to LA, Los Angeles, California, around 1995, and her highest level of education is high school. So for additional background context, my mom is from Compton. She moved to Compton, California, Los Angeles. She attended Compton Middle School and Compton High School. You know how it is. You know how Compton is. It's pretty dangerous and very ghetto. And her family eventually moved out of Compton, thankfully. And she went to a different school. And the apartment they were living at is the same apartment I was born in, or the same apartment I was raised in throughout the rest of my life. And until now, because now I live in my own apartment in Riverside, so pretty cool. I don't know. I just think her life story is very interesting from what she told me, especially her educational life story. There's a lot that I didn't know about before. I'm very grateful that I had the chance to interview her. My dad. This is my dad. His name is Rodolfo Paulino. He was born May 27, 1980, in Venezuela, Mexico. He moved to Los Angeles, California, sorry, around 1994, and his highest level of education is middle school. So I wasn't gonna interview my dad as much as I would have loved to interview him. Because it's not just my mom who also has an interesting backstory or background life story. My dad too, he also had an interesting life. As much as I wanted to interview him, he didn't really do much in school. His highest level is in education wise is middle school in Mexico, because he moved to LA he was a young boy when he moved to LA. I don't think it was 1994, if I'm being honest. I think it was probably earlier, probably like 1990, maybe, possibly, maybe 1991 or 92. And yeah, he had like he didn't want to pursue something like a career. He wanted to be a teacher, just like how I want to be as myself. He also wanted to be a mechanic, though, at the same time. He kind of is one right now as we speak. He helps around a mechanic shop and tries to fix cars. He knows a lot about cars as well. So yeah, there he goes there. And this is my sister. This is my younger sister, Amy Paulino. She was born December 29th, 2009, in Los Angeles, California, Chinatown. And she's currently a senior in high school, which is the same high school I attended in Los Angeles, and she's studying to become a veterinarian or a doctor. Just recently, she went to a Japan trip. It wasn't just an ordinary Japan trip. She went to Japan to study more in her field of becoming a doctor, because she wanted to become. She actually has plans to move to Japan when she gets older. Like after college, she wants to go to Japan and settle in and over there and work at a Japanese hospital. So this is me. I was born February 10th, 2007, Los Angeles, California, Chinatown. I'm currently a sophomore at UC Riverside. I'm studying to become a teacher and a bit in major in business human resources. So yeah, that was me in high school freshman year. I was 13 years old. Maybe no, I was 13 years old. This was 2021. This was a while ago. This was I'm not gonna lie. This was so recent. I was fresh out of middle school. And then this is me, high school senior year. I was 18 years old. I got new glasses as well. I also, as you could tell, I got a different haircut. You know. Um. Yeah, they had different uniforms as well. For freshmen, we had to wear a gray shirt. For seniors, we were able to wear a black shirt. Um, this is me, college freshman year. I believe this was during my orientation. It was very hot that day, if I'm being honest. So that's why I'm very tanned right now. Um, I was still 18 years old. Right now I'm 19. So yeah, this was summer 2025. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed orientation very much. It was like a good experience to live in the dorms for a little while. Meet some people. It was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Historical context with readings. Okay, so I have more to say to this, I promise. But in connection with my family's history, one of the many readings from our class involved the term community cultural wealth. So basically, while I was interviewing my mom, I happened to find myself in in thoughts with myself, basically battle of thoughts with myself, because I was thinking to myself like a lot of this. I honestly before I interviewed my mom, I didn't think I would like really find anything that would connect to my um, part one Counterstory. So I honestly was about to give up on her, like not her, I was about to give up on asking her questions or interviewing her. And I was thinking of more interviewing someone else, like my aunt or someone else had that was born here. But I still gave her a chance, and honestly, I was more surprised that I was able to find a lot of connections with the readings that we read as well. It doesn't have to be community cultural wealth. It also has to do with lack of resources. Equality versus inequality. Because sometimes equality is not the same as um, everyone getting equal treatment. Everyone has different ways of learning. And as my mom goes, talking about her past life, her education life, I started to realize how much I take for granted because I should take for granted because a lot has changed since the 80s or the 90s. If I'm being honest, a lot has definitely changed since then, and I definitely have to thank my mom for pushing through all that hard times, because it was hard hearing her talk about her past life. So, when we talk about community cultural wealth, what is community cultural wealth? So, it is mainly the idea that not just one individual group, whether it comes to color, race, culture, can change the world. So, what I mean by that is like, let's say, because there are stereotypes that exist where people think that only white people or something like that can really make a difference in the world, when that is 100% not true at all. Um, Anyone can make a difference in the world if they really aspire to make a difference. An example I can give out is literally Martin Luther King Jr. He aspired to make a difference. He aspired to um, end segregation, and make basically a society way more equal than it was before, because of the Jim Crow laws and all that. And he was also an African American man, so he definitely changed the world. Um, Anyone, as I continue on, I was saying, anyone really, no matter what color or ethnicity, can make a difference. So yeah, like I said earlier, anyone can make a difference. Like, if you really aspire to make one, it's it's limitless, basically. And anything can happen. That's what's nice about it. So how does this connect? So community cultural wealth connects with my mom's story, as although she dropped out of high school, it was not the end of the world. My mom had two jobs to make ends meet and worked hard to make money. Even after we were born, she worked hard to make sure we had a good, sustaining, prepared future. So just because she dropped out doesn't mean she is excluded of having some knowledge or beneficiary in society. So, I'm sorry for yawning. So anyways, my mom started struggling like big time after she dropped out. She didn't have enough money to survive. Yes, her parents were there, but her parents were very odd parents. They didn't want her to rely on them, and she would never give them money either. I don't know. I just find it odd, my apologies for yawning. It's late at night and I'm recording this. And yeah, she worked hard to get where I'm at right now, and I don't want to mess up anything. And yeah, I thank her for everything. And even though she dropped out, she still made a huge difference in what she was capable of doing. Even if it meant sacrificing things you don't want to sacrifice, she still made an effort to try to put things forward in life, for us, for me and my sister, and for the rest of us as well, as a family. So inequalities within readings and personal experiences. So in the readings, during our discussions or lectures, we would find disturbingly how only a certain group of people within race or culture would receive the appropriate resources. So in connection to my mom's experiences, she never always had a good teacher available. Same with resources where there was a lack of support, a lack of and a lack of sense belonging in school. So my mom really went through a lot, if I'm being honest. She went through a lot, and from not just from students but from teachers as well. She wouldn't really get the same support as others would, which is why she felt she was always left behind in things. And but that was not the reason why she dropped out of high school, though. It was more the reason because her parents wanted her to work already. They didn't want her to continue or pursue any educational career while not earning money, because they also couldn't afford college. They weren't aware of scholarships at all either. So there was an imbalance in that, in her education life and between her real life as well. Because if she never did drop out, I definitely would think she had a good chance, and getting a career, a good career actually. So evidence from readings. In connection to community cultural wealth from Yasso 2005, he explains that communities from different colors have multiple different strengths and weaknesses. However, one thing is for certain is that knowledge within communities are overlooked or underestimated. This connects to Solorzano and Yasso 2002, who explains that students of color often experience unequal educational opportunities because of structural barriers rather than their own abilities. In addition to further connecting to Grosky 2012, as they argue that educational inequalities are caused by unequal opportunities instead of a lack of motivation, it also connects to Yasso 2005 as they explain that students from marginalized communities have valuable strengths and resilience that often don't get recognized. So basically, a lot of the things my mom did never got recognized. She was never acknowledged for her strengths that she had during school, and yet she still pursued on to work hard for where we are right now. And I'm very, very grateful for her for putting in effort because I wouldn't be here right now. I probably wouldn't be here right now giving a whole presentation about my Counterstory because definitely education is a great opportunity to keep us forward, you know. And here are my citations. Gorskin PC, Solorzano and Yasso and TJ. You know, thank you very much for listening through my Family Educational Counterstory Part 2 final. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I really hope I was creative with the way I made my slides. I know I just put pictures and words, but I hope in a way it's creative, you know, a little bit. In a way that you can see.